And you'll have monsters like this big skeleton, which looks like he's, let's see, one, yeah, he's totally flipping the other skeleton off. Nice. I had to check that artwork. Yep, pretty sure that's a skeleton flipping another skeleton off. That is epic.
Join the team.
Hey team, this is McGuire Review, and we have the second edition of Barbarians The Invasion from Tabula Games. Now, if you were in on the first Kickstarter for this game, this is one of their first major Kickstarters that they've done. They've done a lot of other awesome games, much like Mystia here, and they had some other Kickstarters that they just got done with. We've done most of their games here on the channel. So if you are interested in Tabula Games, check out my channel. There's quite a few games we've done for this company, and this is Barbarians The Invasion. And this is going to be a Kickstarter for the second printing of this game. We're not going to get deep into the actual setup or the gameplay. I will go over holistically how this game works and some of the mechanics you're going to find in this game. I'm mainly going to focus on what you're getting with the second printing through the Kickstarter and what new stuff we're going to see with this Kickstarter. There's going to be lots of stretch goals, but there are some things we can talk about that are released here in this book. And I do have another piece of paper that indicates some other things that we're going to be able to see in this second printing. Before we get there, though, that's right, we are doing another theMCGuiRE Review
Epic level giveaway.
Woo! You know how it works, team. If you're new to the team, hit that subscribe button and comment below. The Kickstarter is starting literally today, the day the video is coming out. And at the end of the Kickstarter, Bear will press the button of fate and one lucky team member will be selected from the comments below, and you will win a Kickstarter version of this game. There are two different types that are going to be available. There is going to be a version that will come with tokens and meeples instead of the miniatures, and then there will be another version of this game that comes with the miniatures instead of the tokens and the meeples. So it's really whatever version you like best. Not to say, you know, if it was me, I'd want the miniatures version. I'm more of a miniatures person. But some folks don't like all the miniatures. They like to just use tokens and the meeples and focus more just on the artwork and the mechanics of the game versus having the miniatures. Maybe miniatures are distracting. Everybody's different. It's up to you. That's why they're making two versions of this game. It will be your choice as the winner on which one of those versions you get, either the miniatures version or the meeples version. That's what we're going to do for the giveaway. It's going to be awesome. So start subscribing, start commenting. If you're already part of the team, obviously all you got to do is comment. If you're not on the team, hit that subscribe button. Make sure to follow me on Twitter and Facebook as well. Got lots of cool things there on those platforms, and I do all the announcements through Twitter. It's a better way to communicate kind of the announcements and things that are coming up. So if you do follow the channel and you're not following me on Twitter yet, go ahead and check out my Twitter account and follow me there as well. All right, let's get into what we've got here with Barbarians The Invasion. We are going to take a look here at the rule book. Now, everything that you do see on the table is completely a prototype, okay? This is not a manufactured prototype. This is a prototype that was created in-house specifically to show some of the differences we're going to see with the second version of the printing. So some of the things that you are going to find that are going to be different in the second version of the printing is a lot of the iconography around the board and on the board is going to be massively improved. Things are going to be crisper, clearer, brighter. The artwork in this game and the artwork on the cards in this second edition is absolutely phenomenal. I love the artwork. It pops. It's just really, really awesome artwork. Okay, our volcano wheel here. If you have played this game before, if you got in on the first Kickstarter, if you picked this up, this is an awesome kind of rotational mechanic that works here with this volcano that is going to drive a lot of the resources and things you're going to be going after when it is your turn. You'll set your heroes on these different spots, and depending on what spot you're able to get and what spots are connected to the spots that are above it, those are the types of actions and resources and different things you're going to be doing when you take your turn. That's going to affect a lot of different things in the game. This is primarily the core mechanic of the game, is landing on these spots to then do different strategies and take various different actions. You'll have to acquire certain types of resources to deploy troops. Bear, hold this for me. Thank you. To deploy troops in the game to be able to fight battles and get domination points, and ultimately the player that has the most domination points at the end of the game will be the winner of the game. And I will tell you, This game is very, very fun, and the second edition has just heightened it just enough to take it up there to a very, very high score in my mind. And it's not too complex where you feel weighted down by so many different mechanics playing out. It's very, very simple from the perspective of sit on the volcano, figure out what you need, what resources you need, what you want to do, where do you want to invest your knowledge. There is various different types of knowledge. We'll talk about that here in a second because I really think the knowledge in this game and how those tracks play out is very cool. Pick up some god cards, pick up some war chiefs, pick up buildings to build that give you benefits, and then essentially try to conquer areas that are on this map here. Now, the more resources you have, the more troops, and you do have 3 different types of troops that you can actually get in this game. You got archers and berserkers and raiders. Those are the 3 different types of troops you can get, and you will use resources to, gain more of them. So obviously the more resource you have, the more of these troops, different types of troops you can have, and these different troops are more beneficial in different areas of the map. So it depends on where you want to attack, what types of troops you want to go in with, as well as gaining resources, which you'll be able to do that here by landing on this volcano in different spots. You'll be able to track and gain resources. And there's some really awesome little tokens here. One that does correspond. This is kind of this is like the stone resource, but there's one that corresponds to each one of our 5 resources here, and those will sit right on the board, and you'll be able to use those little tokens to track how much of that resource you have. And each one of them does look completely different. You'll see here is the one for wood. Very awesome. Bear, why don't you load up the overhead cam, and we can get in on some of these miniatures, as well as kind of get an overview of some of the stuff that we've got on the table. Okay, that's essentially how this sheet is going to work. It's going to be about as advanced as it gets. You got your troops, you got your resources. You'll use those to kind of feed and fuel your different combats you're going to be taking place here on this board for domination points. Now, there is a version of this game that also adds clan powers. There are 4 different clans here for the players, and each one of them, there's a variant in the version that gives you a power specifically for that clan, and they're very different. So you can use the clan powers to customize the game a little bit further, or you can just, every clan is the same and it's more of an equal kind of deal across the board. It's up to you as a player or a group how you actually want to do that. Okay, let's run quickly through some of the different things we're going to see here on the board. We do have domination points that are around the outside here that'll be tracked by your player color. You do have the honor track here. That's going to indicate round to round, the turn order that's going to take place. That's what this is used for. And then we have our awesome knowledge tracks here. Okay, and in these you have the discovery knowledge, which is up here at the top, and then you have the tactics knowledge, which is down here. And these are just ways to further customize, and you'll use your tokens to be able to track, where you are, your various different tokens. You'll put those here on these tracks to indicate where you are on each one of these tracks as a player. And you can increment these by landing on various places here when it's your turn as a player. We'll get there in a second. You can up these different tracks. So this one here in Discovery, there's lots of different things we can do. There's actually 4 different types of tracks in that knowledge. We've got the kind of the distance that you can travel or combat. So the further this goes down this track, the more you can venture out depending on where you currently are as a player on this map. Everyone will kind of start in a starting area, and then you'll be able to venture out from that map. Well, if you're able to get this further along than others, then you're able to move to further islands quicker. And that's important because if you're the first one to ever win a battle on an island, you will get one of these little special extra domination tokens, and that can only be won on the first area of an island that's a war is won that's dominated, and you win. You will get this as a player, and then no one else can get that. So there is kind of a race to see how quickly you can kind of move out through the board. And that is very advantageous for you as a player to be able to move far and be able to get those domination points for other players do. That's what this top one does. Then we got a defense. So maybe you want to be stronger defense when you go into battle. Well, you might want to up this type of track. And we've got like a resource sort of harvest type track. You can get more resources if you're you're more skilled in this track. And then this final one here is a production track. So there are buildings that you can acquire over the course of the game, and anything in this game you pay resources for. So as you gain resources, you'll have to use those resources as a player to say, all right, do I want to spend them on troops to go into battles? Do I want to spend them on god cards to get these powerful god cards? Artwork is absolutely fantastic. Or do I want to spend them on war chiefs and be able to get war chiefs? War chiefs can actually be sacrificed when it's your turn to get you some benefits. There's a rule there. So it is beneficial to have these war chiefs. They can really help you when you go into certain types of situations in this game. Or do I want to build buildings? Every player can get up to 4 buildings going at the same time. And those buildings give you more production benefit. So you might want to bulk up and have a really good engine of resources that are flowing. And that might be maybe your first part of the game strategy is I'm gonna get a bunch of buildings, and I'm gonna really work myself on the production track, and I'm gonna work myself up on the resource track, and I'm just gonna be this like farm engine over here that's producing tons of resources. And then when I have a ton of resources, I can go in and put a lot of resources towards troops and maybe not be able to move as far, or maybe not be able to have as much defense because I've got more troops because I have more resources. Or you may be a player that goes the other route and says, well, I don't really want to worry about having a ton of resources. I just want to have a minimal amount of troops that are really tough and can travel really far. So there's lots of different ways to balance yourself as a player when you play this game. And now with the clan powers, you can even take that one step further and customize your clan with a power. Again, like we talked, if you'd like to actually do that. So that's how pretty much all these cards work. That's how our top discovery knowledge track works. Then we've got our tactics knowledge down here. And this is really in the combat. So as we do combat on this map, say we wanted to go into combat and we were able to reach this island right here, and we wanted to go into combat in that region. You note every one of the regions have one of these little tokens. We know it's a green region, so we know we'll be drawing from the green deck. Each one of these decks do correspond to the different colors that are on the board. And it would show us, oh, it's purple, so it's the Shan clan. Yeah, the purple one is the Shan. There are 4 different types of factions that you're going to battle, and each one is different. If you're to lose against this faction, if you're to lose the battle, there'd be an outcome, and every one of those outcomes is different for each one of the factions. So it adds a little bit of variability to the game as well. It's not just, oh, you lose, okay, you lose some cards. It is different for each one of the factions that you're challenging. So that's a really fun mechanic in this game as you're thinking, okay, which area of this map do I want to take? So it shows us here that it is worth 4. There's a little 4 printed on this. There's different numbers printed on all these. And win this battle. I'm also going to get an extra domination point because it's on this island here, and any wins on this island is worth 1. Any wins here is worth 2. Any wins here is worth 3. Any wins here is worth 4. Obviously, because it takes longer to get to those areas. So, it's more domination points to get all the way down here. So I'm going to get 4 plus 1, 5. And if I end up being the player that wins this battle and the first one to beat a region on this island, I get that extra bonus of being the first person to win a battle on that island. I get that extra bonus of 3. So this could be potentially worth 8 domination points if I'm able to win this battle. And same with our example that the player was able to get there and they were the first player there. So they then would flip over this green top card because it's a green region, and it would show me, oh, okay, I only have to combat 1 archer. So really got lucky here. It's only a 1 archer battle. Now these are different. Every one of these cards is different, and that's why every time you go into these battles, that is one component of this game that is random. Not really sure what you're going to go up against. That's a gamble. This one, we got lucky because we can easily spend a wheat and a wood and get an archer. And if we have that resource, we can easily just spend that, move our token up. And here are all the awesome miniatures. This is only a small selection of them. I just wanted to show each one of the models that actually come with the game. What we're going to have right here is part of the expansion. We'll talk about that last. But all the models that are part of the different models that are part of the game, you would take your archer. So you'd grab your archer here, and you'd move your archer up however many of those you have. So that's where you're going to use your 3 different types of miniatures that everybody has. Those are going to be positioned there on your board to rank kind of where you are and how many of those different types of troops that you actually have acquired. And then every person's going to have a unique type of warrior miniature, and you'll have 4 of the same thing, and those are going to be what's used to place on your rotunda here, or your volcano wheel. You're going to use those to place there on the wheels, okay? And you do have up to 4. Generally, you're only going to place 3, but there is a possibility to be able to place 4. Okay, so that's how that's going to work. But let's take a look here real quick at some of the cards that we're going to find in this deck. Like, look at this one. You'd have to do 3 archers to be able to beat this, and it says if you did another archer and a berserker, those are the ones that are in red. The red don't have to be done. That's like called an overkill. So if you were to pay those as well, then you could do an overkill and really win the battle, just brutally. I love this little Ewok village kind of look they got going on here on this card. So awesome. Again, artwork, absolutely fantastic. You would then get a bonus, and it says right down here that I would get an additional 7 domination points as a bonus. So that's something that's really cool as well, is you can get extra little bonuses on these cards. That's an example of that one. Here's one where you'd have to have an archer and a berserker to be able to win. No overkill. However, there's a little icon down here. If we were to win this battle, we would also get some metal here. I think I called this stone earlier in the game, but we'd also get some metal here that we would get as a bonus. We'd go up 1 on our resource track over here as a bonus. So every one of these cards is a little bit different. Okay, here's one where you got to fight 3 and you get 4 domination points extra. This one's cool. You only got to fight 2. If you want to go for the overkill there for the berserker, you can get 3 extra domination points. But if you just fight the 2 and win, you do get one of the little treasure resources. So very cool, very cool. So every one of these cards completely different, and they are randomized at the beginning of the game, and you really don't know what you're going to run into. What you do know is what type of troop is better within each one of these areas. So you can see here on the back of this card, these types of troops, so the archer and the berserker, are the best in this green area. Whereas we move down to this brown one, and it looks like it's the raider and the berserker. Those 2 are the best in that area. If we look at the tundra area, it's the raider and the archer. If we look at the blue area, it's all 3 of them. You're going to want to have a good flow of all 3 of those types. Okay, and then this last thing here down at the bottom is our feast and our demon track. At the end of the round, each player is going to do in player order one of these cards, and you'll just go through the cards. So after round 1, you've done this, you'll flip it over. So then everybody has to do this card, and then the next round everybody has to do that card. Feasts are generally things that are going to be good for the players, things that are going to be able to trade in for other things, or gain some type of benefit that helps you. The demon cards are going to be things you're going to have to deal with in the game. So you can think of those as like events or things in the game that you're going to have to now deal with. And there's quite a few of those, and these are randomized at the beginning of the game. So every game you're going to have another spread in front of you that's going to be different. Different feast cards, different demon cards. It is always going to go in this order of feast demon, feast demon, feast demon. That's not going to change, but the cards will absolutely change as those are randomized and then put out. And then at the very bottom, there's a little icon that shows our volcano, and then you will basically change the volcano based on whatever the icon shows here at the bottom. And it will indicate exactly which rings need to turn and which way, either clockwise or counterclockwise. And you would essentially just, one click, you change these rings, and now you'd have a completely different setup going into your next round. So that volcano ring is always going to be switching around round to round, kind of changing up the flow and the pattern of what you can get to and the setup. And that's good. I like that because every round is going to be different as far as what resources you might be going for, because as these buildings and these god cards and these war chief cards are picked up and purchased by other players, they'll be replaced with other ones. So it's constantly giving the players new types of things to look at and go for, and changing the volcano wheel to make it easier or maybe harder to get to those different things depending on what you're going for as your player strategy. Okay, so that's why I really like this game. And again, I said we wouldn't get into deep gameplay, and what I meant is we're not going to actually set up a game and actually play through, but I did pretty much go through the entire game here and the different mechanics and the way this game works. So the last thing I'll leave you with as far as this, before we get into the expansion and the different things we have there, is just the orders. So that first phase is going to be the maintenance phase. You're going to restore any of your god cards or war chief cards that you've used. Some of them you can use an ability and kind of tap them. and then you can restore them. Again, you can always sacrifice a war chief. You can't a god, but you can sacrifice a war chief to be able to get a benefit in the game if you want to do that. Otherwise, as you acquire those cards, it's almost like you're building out your own little tableau of some other types of benefits that you can activate when you need to. So you're going to refresh those. You're then going to take resources on all your buildings. So you're going to be able to get all those resources generated from the buildings that you have. Again, if you're that farmer that really gets on the production track and the resource track, you can get even more. Then you're going to take your actions. We're going to be placing your warriors on the various different volcano, one warrior per player at a time, taking that action. We went over a lot of the different actions you're able to take. And then when that's done, you're going to do that end phase, which is going to be kind of going through this track and then changing the actual volcano around. All right. Okay. Again, we do have 6 eras here that are on the track. So obviously, once you get to the end of the 6th era, the game would be over. There's a couple different other ways to trigger endgame. If you get 100 domination points, you'll go ahead and just play until the end of that current era. Or if you have conquered everything on the map, that as well can trigger endgame. You'll play to the end of that era. And then it's very simple. You're just going to count up all your domination points you've gained over the course of the game. Highest domination point player is the winner of Barbarians The Invasion. Now, let's get into what we're going to find in here with the second printing. And again, team, there's 2 different options here, right? 2 different options of the versions of this game, meeple or miniatures. If you've got the first edition, it's up to you, but I would actually recommend probably upgrading to the second edition, because you are getting a game board that is a lot easier to use. You got to think about new players. You're getting you're getting awesome artwork on the card. I think it's definitely worth probably the upgrade. If you've never played this game, if you didn't get this game, I highly recommend this game. It's got great theme. It's really fun. I can't say that enough. We've had a great time with this. Bear's had a great time with it. And, woo! That's right, buddy. He's in the game. Bear is in the game. Once again, we're in the game. So let me get right into the expansion rules. So we talked about the clan power variant, adding those clan powers. Very cool. And this expansion is called The Hunt. And what's so awesome about this is it really is quite the expansion to this game. It adds a bunch of new mechanics. It adds new volcano wheels. There's a special limited Kickstarter map. There are a bunch of new, there's some sample cards here. There's some sample miniatures and little hunt tokens, miniatures that were included. But it adds beasts and it adds monsters. So you'll have beasts like the bear, okay? We've got the bear here. You'll have beasts like this, this giant, let's see, here we go. The giant mammoth is really cool. And then you'll have monsters like this big skeleton, which looks like he's, let's see, he's totally flipping the other skeleton off. Nice. I had to check that artwork. Yep, pretty sure that's a skeleton flipping another skeleton off. That is epic. Okay, so this will be an example of a beast. Now, when you run into these things, because you're going to be doing battles much like you would in the regular part of the game, but you're also going to be going on hunts. And when you go on these hunts, you're going to be fighting beasts and monsters. If you defeat a monster, you will take it, you'll kind of kill it, and you'll take it as a trophy, and then you'll be able to cash it in later. You'll keep it to be like a reward for you, and you'll be able to cash it in later for a big bonus award. Or if you take out a beast, one of these animals, you tame this animal, and now all of a sudden the woolly mammoth is yours and it's part of your troops. This is what I love about the hunt. It's so cool to build up like your troops, then I've also got the big grizzly bear and the woolly mammoth as part of my clan, and I can use them to then do future battles. And these different types, you'll see they're color coded here. So the mammoth is going to be really strong in the white and the blue areas, and this brown bear here, the big grizzly bear, is going to be strong in the blue and the brown areas. So if you're ever doing combat in those areas, you get a super bonus when you're fighting and doing combat in those areas, and you can use these beasts if they're tamed to be able to do that. So love the expansion here. It's like adding in, it's like going on the monster hunt, right? It's adding in the monsters that you can hunt and then use them and or take them for trophies. Super, super cool, all right? And there are solo one-player rules, so I want to make sure that's clear. Bear, let me have the box. Thank you, Bear. Nice flip as well. Okay, because on your box here, the Barbarian Invasion game is standard 90 minutes, 14 plus, 2 to 4 players. However, we've got a solo one-player rules. All the solo players out there, you've got Barbarians The Invasion, solo style. All right, team, that's it. That is Tabula Games, Barbarians The Invasion. That's what you're getting here with this second printing. An awesome, awesome upgrade to an already awesome game. You're getting the expansion. There's going to be tons of cool stretch goals that are going to be unlocked. And you got 2 different versions of the game, either meeples or miniatures. Don't forget about the giveaway. Hit that subscribe button. Comment below. On the last day of the Kickstarter, Bear hits the button of fate. Follow me on Twitter as well if you can. So hit that like, click the subscribe below to join the team. Keep rolling them crits. This has been the McGuire Review, and we'll see you next time, Bear. Let's roll!